Hey guys, it's Mark again. So I'm here with part one of how to get out of poverty. And the topic today is the emergency fund. Now, when you're starting at the very bottom, you're working paycheck to paycheck, you're trying to get enough money scraped together for food or to get a dollar or two in gas so you can go to work. The last thing you think you can do is save money. And and you're right, it is almost impossible to do. But if you have a job of any kind, even if you're working part time, I'm going to tell you how I did it and why I did it and why you should do it. First of all, what you should do is get a high interest savings account. Don't bother with the banks around town or the credit unions. They give you like 0.1% interest, and there's no reason to bother with that. Just, there's no point. You're not making money. I think I made 6 cents last year in an account like that. So here's what you do. I personally use Ally Bank. It's ally.com. I've had an account with them for about 5 years now. It's a high interest savings account. I didn't check it, but I think it's somewhere around 0.9% or 1%. That's 10 times as high as most banks and credit unions right now. So, first of all, step one, get yourself a high interest savings account. You don't even have to put anything in it right now, just open it. Okay? Now, the second thing, and this is how I did it, you're going to do two things. Even if you can only do one of them at first, it's fine. Do this first. Let's say you work 25 hours per week. Okay? Say you make 25, let's say you make minimum wage, you're 25 hours a week, all right? When you get that paycheck and you see the number on there of how many hours you worked, you take that number and you transfer that amount into that account. So let's say you got 25 hours on your last paycheck. Transfer $25 into savings. And the first time, it sucks, okay? It sucks because you could use that $25 for something, right? You could buy some groceries with that. But here's the thing, and this is what's really important. Once you do it once, you see that you can do it. You can make it 2 weeks without that $25, I promise. And when you do it, the second time, when you get that second paycheck, it's not that bad. Now, after you get maybe like 2, 3, 4 paychecks where you've put that money away, now you got $100. Plus, you've probably made a little interest on there. So this really is the easiest thing that you can do psychologically to get yourself to stop stressing so much about money. Because when you're living paycheck to paycheck, you're stressed about everything. Everything is a crisis. I mean, you're always just one mistake or one, accident from homelessness, and you want to get away from that. And it happens so easily when you have an emergency fund. Now, ultimately, you want your emergency fund to be at least 6 months of living expenses, right? So you'd calculate up what your budget is every month and get 6 months of that. And then once you got that, do a year. Okay, but that's not even what we're talking about right now. That's way down the road. Don't worry about that at all, because I know it sounds like a ton of money right now. Don't worry about that. Here's what you do. You start taking that 25 hours a week, all right, or 25 hours a paycheck, or let's say you work full-time. Let's say you have a full-time job, you make minimum wage, but you work 80 hours in a paycheck. $1 for each hour worked. Transfer that over to that account. If you work full-time, that's $160 in a month. That's going to put you at somewhere around 2,000-ish in a year. Now, once you get like $100 set aside, you stop stressing so much because you know that money's there if you need it. If you get laid off from your job or you have an absolute emergency, it might take a couple days to transfer it out of your bank account, but you've got that money there. Okay? Now that's the other thing. You don't touch this money. It's for absolute emergencies. But just the fact that it's there, just believe me and trust me, this will make you feel 1,000 times better. I recommend using the online banks like Ally, not just because of the interest rate, but because it does take a couple of days for you to get those funds. So it really stops you from any impulse buys. To give you an example, it took me 4 years, something like that, 3 years, 4 years, to save up about $3,000 doing it with this method. Okay, and I got fired from my job. Watch my video about getting fired from Abercrombie. That's what happened. So I got fired from my job. I took $1,900 out of that $3,000 and bought a car because my car had died like 2 weeks before I got fired. Took the rest of it and used it as living expenses. I literally would be dead right now if I didn't have that fund. I literally would have starved to death. So this is absolutely the most important thing that you can do, and it's something that you see results in so early. Now, if you feel comfortable enough in this, and you think that maybe you make a little bit more than minimum wage, put $1 per paycheck, put a $1 per hour worked in your account, all right? If you can, take a small percentage of your gross pay as well. So let's just say your gross pay is $500 for your paycheck. Take 1% of that, all right? That's only $5. But $5 in a year is an additional $60 in your account, plus interest you earn on it. Really, it's small things over time, and you're going to look at it and you're like, hey, I have $60 there, plus I have a few hundred over here for my hours worked. And even though you know you're never going to touch that money, you're going to feel so relieved to know that you have it there. And you're going to see your assets over time grow, you're going to see your net worth over time go up, and that's the absolute first step. Just trust me that when you have that money, say you have $400 in there that you've saved up over a few months, the fact that you know that you have something to turn to in an emergency, that you're not completely desperate, and that you know you have the discipline not to touch it, but it's there if you need it. And that is absolutely the best feeling in the world. Now, once you get that done, it's kind of a waiting game. There are other things that you need to do in order to get out of poverty. You've got your job, or hopefully you've got a job, or you're working on the side, or however you're getting your money. And now you've got your emergency fund set up. And it takes a while to build up because we're doing small amounts. But that's okay. The fact that you have something there is great. So the next step, and this is what my next video will be for part 2. Part 2 is going to be, this is what I think of when I think of this concept. It's increasing income, decreasing spending. Okay? So I'm actually going to do a pretty lengthy video about increasing your income, decreasing spending. See, most people just say, I want to earn more money. Alright? But that doesn't exactly work. And that's not the only thing. That's only half of it. So my next video will be about increasing your income, decreasing your expenses, and that's something that takes a little while too. So while you're building that emergency fund, you can work on this. And everything just snowballs, and things just keep getting easier and easier. So guys, let me know your stories about emergency funds, where you're at right now, if you've got one, if you don't, if you've had any experiences in the past where having an emergency fund has saved your ass, or if you have any advice, about what banks to go with, what kind of interest rates you're getting, go ahead and put that down in the comments. Don't forget to like my video and subscribe, because you're going to want to follow this series. I just got out of poverty myself. I've been struggling for a few years to do this, and I'm someone just like you. I totally understand what you're going through, and I can help you out. So give me a thumbs up, hit that subscribe button, and look for that second video. Thanks, guys.